It is now 25 minutes to 7 o'clock. Time for us to review the dailies this morning and see what's making headlines. Joining me to do that is a political analyst, Joe Halende. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, let's begin straight into the dailies. And we start off with the Standard, where we have teachers pushing for lower varsity entry. The headline actually reads, "Teachers push for lower varsity entry." And teachers union predict that fewer students will score the minimum university entry grade of C+ in this year's KCSE. The number has been declining in the past 4 years. And as a result, they are pushing for a reduction in the entry grade for university. This, of course, is to make sure that we have more students also going in, although another matter of concern then would be why the grades are coming down.
Yes, this is what I term as peddling simple solution for complex problem, and where someone can say this is the hallmark of mediocrity. Because if you look at the report, it says that they are concerned about the poor grades from what the students achieve in a secondary school. And it's because of examination administration, marking, and proper processing of results based on available facts. So the issue is not on university entry. Actually, the issue is on the grades in high school. So the report and the recommendations will actually measure on what should be done to high school so that we can enable to raise the grade, but not reduce the grade. Actually, this reminds me of the Kiambu governor's recommendation during the
Move the rivers.
to move the rivers. This is actually what the report is.
It's a case of moving the rivers as opposed to moving the buildings around riparian
Yes.
land. And of course, for many parents, and I would also be concerned as a Kenyan as to why we are dealing with, or rather trying to get people to lower the score as opposed to dealing with the reason why they are not passing. Because if they were passing before and there's a decline, some might say maybe it's because of the clampdown in ensuring that cheating is not happening. But I'm sure it's not a single thing that's also bringing the grades down there. It's a multifaceted thing.
Yeah. Basically, actually, we should just look at the education sector wholesomely, not be treating symptoms that affect the education sector.
Absolutely. All right, and there was that story that we ran earlier on. It's also on page 5 of the Standard, and that is to do with Rosemary Odinga appearing in public after 2 years. And this is after she turned, removed herself from the race for the Kibra Member of Parliament seat, and that's on page 5 of the Standard. She is now back basically doing what, in her words, she says is what she enjoys doing.
Yeah, it's what leadership entails. As much as you may be down, you need to come out and show your people that you are also struggling, but you are finding ways how to help others and giving some people also encouragement on how to tackle with these issues and surviving.
I must say that I was also quite encouraged by her brave, and very nice speech saying that she is also adapting to her new way of life, and that is after losing her sight. But she's definitely making sure that she does the best that she can with the opportunity that she has. So get yourself a copy of the Standard and read that particular story. It would be one of interest. On page 6, we have a different story, though. Senate sends away health CS in probe on equipment. And this apparently, according to the senators, was because she was ill prepared for the actual probe that she was going through, not having some of the contracts, which again, what infuriated the senators was that the government committed 38 billion Kenyan shillings to purchase equipment, including trolleys, stretchers, and all that, but it has ended up costing the taxpayer 63 billion Kenyan shillings.
What I can tell the health CS, Cecil Kariuki, from my village, Bulanda, in Busia County, we normally say that when you see a rat running towards fire, there's something that is after the rat must be bigger than fire. So the CS should take this matter seriously. You can see the level of seriousness. Even the senators are questioning her. If you come before a Senate committee probing issues to do with the medical equipment and you're ill prepared, how serious are you? And this issue started way long time ago. And in fact, that time we said it was a political issue when the people from the opposition were raising. But now we don't have an opposition. Now this is a handshake effect. We are going to see, actually, in what one of the senators was saying, that this is actually a mega scandal if serious questions are going to be asked. And she's not going to give
And it
answers.
is a mega scandal for two reasons. I'll give you some that literally just hit us in the face. Number one, it was supposed to cost 38 billion. That was the initial amount of money quoted, but it has ended up costing 63 billion.
Yeah.
Despite costing 63 billion, equipment to be supplied include trolleys, stretchers, amongst other things. So of course you and I can do the mathematics just generally and tell what is costing 63 billion. But what is also catches my attention is that some of the equipment has never been delivered to this day, despite the 63 billion. Then annual repayments by counties was revised from 3.8 billion to 9.4 billion. So the question is, where's all this money going?
And the interesting part that the CS is saying that the variation is caused by the changes in dollar exchange rates.
Between the time they started purchasing them and now, I think the dollar rate has probably changed to what, maybe 3 shillings at most. So that particular hike in price then remains to be answered. Some of the delivered equipment is not in use. Again, one asks the question, by the time they were getting the equipment, who had done an audit of what is required, what can be used? Some of the reasons why some of the equipment has not been used is one, you've got some no qualified personnel, and secondly, some of the hospitals don't simply have electricity.
Yeah, these are typical scenario where cartels are chasing deals. So it's not actually, they're not providing these facilities because the common mwananchi need them, but because somebody somewhere wants that deal and somebody somewhere wants that money. That's why these facilities are being forced to people who don't need them. Yeah.
All right, and of course that story is something interesting to follow on, especially given devolved government and also the universal health coverage that has already been rolled out in several counties. Whether that's part of it remains to be seen. On page 10, sorry. Yeah. On page 10 is also a story that some may be interested in, and that is the one of Jackie Maribe. She had gone to court to gain access to her house. She was still not able to gain access to her house, her mobile phone and her vehicle, and the court did rule on that. She was given access to her house immediately, but the phone the phone is still going to be withheld as an exhibit, but the vehicle is also released, but pending the investigation agencies finishing with it. And that's on page 10. All right, we also have page 12. Police to act fast on alerts thanks to a new call center. This would be something of interest to many Kenyans. And this is after a Japanese company has upgraded the system to incorporate facial recognition capability. Remember, not too long ago, we had the government embark on a very, very expensive exercise to ensure that we have CCTV cameras all over. Now, they would like to include facial recognition on this, but it also cuts down the amount of time that if you report a crime, that the call center receives it and acts on it. That would be a good thing.
That has never been an issue. It has never been an issue on how to report a crime and the time you use to report a crime. The issue has always been how the police respond.
The response
to the call. Actually, it's not about to do with the equipment. So one thing that it's actually a story that it's a nice story to be there, but the real issue that the police should be working on is how to respond on such calls. It is not actually it's not an issue about reporting. How to respond on such calls. Yeah, we have had so many scenarios where people have reported cases and the police do not respond to it. Yeah.
All right, and well, get yourself a copy of the Standard for that. Kenyan youngest MP banished from his constituency. That's on page 22 of the Standard today, and that is John Paul Mwirigi was yesterday banished by a court from his constituency and county for 2 weeks. He is a man under siege, some would say, and this is because he mobilized boda operators and taxi workers not too long ago in a protest that got him arrested. But he is now banished from his constituency for 2 weeks as the courts and the government, of course, works to see that they restore calm.
Yeah, this is basically court trying to tell the MP that you should be a strong defender of the rule of law, not the jungle law.
Not the jungle law.
Yeah.
All right, and that's a standard. Let's now move to the nation. The headline on the nation is judges join MPs in push for higher pay. And on the day that members of parliament nodded through a bill to raise their allowances and benefits, judges filed a petition seeking harmonization of salaries. Now, what the judges are calling for here is some of the judges who left, their practice to join the judiciary say that their remuneration as compared to those who have risen through the ranks is there's a huge gap. So they would like that harmonized.
Basically, this is what I expected when I had MPs were discussing how to hike their allowances and salary, because soon you are going to hear even lecturers, teachers will be on the streets also demanding a pay hike, which basically gives us an opportunity as a country to discuss the issue to do with wage bill, to do with harmonization of salary. There's a huge gap between the highest earner in this country and the lowest earner. I think it's a discussion and a conversation we should ignite and continue supporting in this country until we see something being done. Because there's a huge gap between the highest earner and the lowest earner in this country, whereby it's not basically about MPs and judges. It's across the board that we need to discuss the issue to do with our salaries.
All right, and still on that, members of parliament on course to get more perks as bill sails through. And this, of course, would not get many Kenyans by surprise. It was a bill that had been passed, or rather that had been tabled, and this was to do with a hike in salaries for members of parliament. And, well, surprise, surprise, it has gone through.
The problem we have in this country is parliament, is the parliamentarians, the MPs. And if something happens to that parliament, I am praying to God that something happened. We will have this country moving in the right direction. But if we continue having these same characters, these same people in this parliament, we are going to continue having...
What is likely to change, Joe? Because it's a parliament that is made of you and I, Kenyans, who basically are put there. So the only difference, like somebody said, is the fact that they have the opportunity to rake in and, make money. Any other Kenyan put there, chances are they would probably also do the same.
Not necessarily. There are some people out there, Mike, who are ready to serve.
Which is true, but the question is, we have a very high turnover of members of parliament in our august house. But every time we turn them over, the same thing happens.
It's not that the same things happen. I think there's something wrong. I don't know. There's something wrong with our parliament. In a span of a week, we were discussing about a serious bill, that was the gender bill. You could see the numbers in parliament. In that week, things changes. After a day, they're discussing about increasing their salaries and allowances. Then you can see the numbers, and you can see the spirit of the discussion, of the two different discussions. One, it is a high-spirited discussion. Another one, low, characterized by drama and comedy. You can hear their utterances. Then you feel like, as a Kenyan, if these are our leaders, then we are
something wrong. All right, and of course, the two-thirds gender bill is one that we're looking out to see how it's going to go today. But let's wait and see. They say those who've been pushing for it say they have done their bit. But let's see whether the members of parliament are going to stand up to be counted. Let's go back to the front page of the Daily Nation. And rating Uhuru 1 year later. Mixed fortunes for him. A year ago, he assumed office for his last term and promised to change Kenya. But the changes that many are feeling are not on the ground, but we certainly cannot ignore the fact that there have been changes. Politically speaking, especially with the handshake, there's quite a lot that has changed in that regard.
One thing that the president should realize and Kenyans should realize that the politics is the key driver of prosperity and human progress. Whenever we have calmness, we have good politics, you'll see changes in other sector. But one thing, again, that we are not seeing is on the economic sector. it's not trickling down to the common mwananchi. And that's one thing that the president should be very concerned, since he's talking about his last term and the legacy. Another thing is about his Big Four agenda. Should now turn from being a debate, from being a conversation within the top notch in the country, to be offering now real tangible solutions to the problems that the common mwananchi is facing.
Yes. All right. There's also an interesting story on page 8, and this is a debate that has been going on. Bishops, schoolgirls don't need the pill. Now, there was a story I was reading the other day where there were suggestions that maybe it is time to arm our daughters with the pill, given that it looks like, sex education has not worked in stopping them from engaging in intercourse. So bishops, of course, saying that the schoolgirls don't need the pill. But this, again, is a question of our values and where we are as a country.
Actually, Mike, I'm a staunch Catholic, and I don't know if my views on this issue will make me be excommunicated from the church. But that aside, what bishops and the Catholic need to realize is that time has changed. And we are facing new challenges as a society, whereby we need to address these new challenges as they come, but not being that conservative and rigid. One thing that you can realize is that from Rome, the Pope also has his stand on certain critical issues that Catholic has been having a strong stand on it. He has a bit loosened, and he's looking forward to address issues in the way that we must address them in the 21st century. Yes.
All right, and well, let's finish off with page 2 of The Nation, where NHIF may have lost 2 billion in questionable payments. Again, this is a story that has been on the highlight from the weekend, where there is money that may have been lost, and we have the CEO, Geoffrey Mwangi, the CEO for NHIF, on the dock with his Chief Finance Director, Wilbert Kurgat. And this is, first of all, by virtue of the fact that they denied the investigating agencies access to certain documents which they feel would have given light to this particular investigation.
What surprises me is that why tell Kenyans to register in HIF, establish a strong campaign on and grassroots campaigns on the importance of having HIF. Actually, even was it the other week where KTN had a story about a bishop in Mount Kenya, where he was telling his congregation that in the coming future, for your kid to be baptized in church,
they need an NHIF card.
They need an NHIF card. But following week, we hear stories of people looting money from the NHIF kitty. And this is where I tell you, as Kenyans, I think our leaders are taking us for a ride, and we really need to fix this country.
And it's not just NHIF, because corruption has been a huge thing. There have been debates as to whether we should even redefine what corruption is, or even just legislate it and have, have people pay tax. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, because at that rate we just have the KRA basically collecting and meeting their targets.
Mike, we cannot go that direction. We cannot go that
We
direction.
cannot go that way.
Yes.
All right, and let's finish off with a cartoon on page 14, and the latest cash cow. This is a cartoon basically just describing a situation in Kenya after the Mishuki rules being put in place. We have the matatus apparently being milked. Hopefully we'll be able to get that picture there. But again, it's just our, our agencies and police force apparently taking advantage of the Mishuki rules to milk the matatu sector.
Yes, this is what is happening. Actually, the problem we have with our transport sector is actually to do with massive transit of people. It's not actually about the Michuki rules and the crackdown on a matatu. It's how, as a country, we should have a transport system that can initiate massive transport. Basically, the best solution worldwide has been a train. But you know what has happened with the SGR. So basically, we are left to treat symptoms by bringing issues like the Michoki rules, which are meant to help the police.
Not to help the Kenyans. Well, they're meant for safety, really, because, the seat belts and all that is really meant for safety of the user.
Actually, there's another problem we have in our Nairobi County is about traffic jam. How do you sort out the traffic jam issues by the Michuki rules?
Absolutely not. Yeah, well, we do need to think about it and maybe put more effort into it. Joe Halende will have to wind up there because of time. Thank you for joining us this morning. It is now 5 minutes to 7 o'clock. We are going to take a short break. When we come back, it's time for the newsroom, and we'd like to find out from you how much influence the media has, especially on the value system that we have as a country. Do you think the media negatively influences the moral fabric of society? That's a question we'd like to answer, or rather debate right here on Morning Express. We'll give you an opportunity to also weigh in and give us your thoughts on that. For now, we take that break. We'll be right back on the other side of the break.
This is KTN News.
Ukiwa na uwezo wa kumpisha mke, kumlisha mke, kumpa malazi mke, Mtume salawatullahi alayhi wasallama anasema nini? Faliyatazawwaj. Basi kijana wa sampuli afanye nini? Aoe.
We have paid inadequate attention to the impact of human action on the health and productivity of our waters. And as a result, many of our ocean systems are under immense stress. Their ability to act as a climate regulator and as a key engine for economic growth and sustainable development is progressively being eroded.
Recognized among the great. Here's your chance to nominate your school in the Great Places to School initiative. Identify the innovative learning environment offered in your private secondary school that contributes to the development of the students in the Great Places to School initiative. The ranking is based on the following categories: Best in Career Development, Best in Sport and Co-curricular Activities, Best in Safety and Security, Best in Academics, Best in Business Entrepreneurship Projects, Best in Governance, Best in Character and Creativity, and Best in STEM Subjects. To participate, go to www.greatschool.tifaresearch.com and fill the online form. Entries close on 31st December 2018. The successful private schools will be featured in an award ceremony in January 2019, earning them the right to be ranked amongst the Great Places to School. For inquiries, please contact TIFA on 0709 659 000. Faith on 0728 406085 or Annie on 0703 144 103. You can also send an email to greatplacestoschool@standardmedia.co.ke. The Great Places to School initiative, where great innovative learning is nurtured.
Kwa Ijumaa inapogonga saa 12 saa za Afrika Mashariki ni wakati wa Dira ya Wiki. Awamu ya kwanza mwendo wa saa 12 tunachambua na kudadisi mada kuu ya wiki inayogusa nyoyo za Wakenya. Saa 1 juu ya alama tunakuletea taarifa kuu za siku. Kisha tunakuliwaza na kukusisimua kupitia vituko, vitimbi, kukurukakara. Wengine watasema majambo ya wiki kwenye mirindimo. bila kusahau sehemu yetu ya michezo kwenye Dira ya Michezo. Na je, shujaa wako ni nani? Huenda ni wewe binafsi au mtu mwingine ambaye unamtambua na kumwenzi katika jamii. Ndiposa kwenye Shujaa wa Wiki, sisi pia tunawatambua na kuangazia visa vyao kwenye Shujaa wa Wiki. Hatulikunji jamvi bila kujifunza mengine, ambapo tunajifunza fahamu ishara. Tazama Dira ya Wiki, tukupe ufahamu kwa mduara.
This is KTN News.
All right, it's now 7 o'clock and it's time for us to get into the newsroom. And this morning, let's start off with a question that we'd asked you earlier on. Do you think the media negatively influences the moral fabric of society?